Today, I'm going to be replacing the speedometer drive gear assembly on my scooter. This is the after-work garage. So I'll show you the problem. So I got this little Lance Cabo 50cc scooter, originally kind of to help me out with parking where I work, because it was so bad it was easier just to take a scooter and be able to tie it up anywhere. Almost exactly 4,500 miles on it, and it was making this crunching noise from the front wheel. And what I noticed is that when I came down here, there was an assembly leaking oil or grease out of it, and the speedometer drive assembly didn't look like it was in too good a shape. So whatever was sealing it here, I guess it's the remnants of the seal are still left right there on the wheel hub, was leaking and let the grease out. And with no grease in it, these little gears in here that drive, so the wheel drives this big gear. There's a dog clutch, that keyed piece right there that fits in to a little section in the front wheel, and when it turns that little helical cut gear, I don't know if you can see that inside, and that turns this piece. I tried to get that aluminum pressed in piece out for you so we could see it better, but I failed. Okay, I didn't try that hard, but I tried hard enough to mangle it. So it turns that piece, and when that turns, it fits into a keyway in here, and there's a cable that runs all the way up here to this control box in it. What it does is it turns that turning motion into speed, so it knows how fast you're going. From what I understand, cars used to have mechanical speedometers like this, but they don't anymore. So here's what this assembly looks like taken apart and cleaned up. This is the old one, and I have a new one that just came in, which is why we're doing this video. So the first thing I tried to do when, I'm sure that's good for the gears, roll them on the ground. I'll try not to do that with the new one. So the first thing I try to do when I get a new part is open it up and see what we got. Compare them and make sure it's the right part. Because if it's not, you don't want to install it, find out then, and then not be able to return it. So this indeed looks like a match. Looks pretty good, and it's even packed with grease. I was worried about that. I got a big tube of grease out just for this, but I guess it came with the appropriate oil. It looks like the new gear is plastic in there. I don't know if that's to reduce noise or reduce cost or both, but that's interesting. It still has the similar dogs on it there. Wow, that's really stiff. That's much stiffer than the other one was before I took it off. And of course I didn't buy a new seal, so we'll see how this does. So the wheel's just held on with one through bolt. It's a 15 millimeter. Alright, this is not a 15 millimeter. This is, though. Now we'll jack the scooter up. With that bolt out, or with the nut off, you can work this bolt free. Big long bolt. The wheel drops down out of the, so it's in the brake shoe in there. There's right here, the brake pads. One brake cylinder clamps into this goofy looking brake disc. Okay, so this is that seal that looks a little goofy to me, and those little dog teeth in there are what engage the dog teeth on this to turn it. So I guess I'm gonna get a paper towel, maybe wipe out a little bit of that old grease, and install the new unit. So this fits on right here, and it goes on with the bolt. When the bolt goes through it, it holds the wheel, axle, and speedometer housing. I've heard these referred to, I think, as a speedometer gear puck or speedometer puck. I think it's the same thing, but don't quote me on it. Let's assemble it. Before I forget, there's a piece here. It's like a little bushing that sits on the back side of the wheel. Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright, so this has to come out. So it looks like everything kind of has to be where it has to be. There we go. Come on. There it is. Putting it back together.
Oh, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Right, so here's that little locating peg that fits into the notch there to locate the assembly and I guess prevent it from spinning. As far as torque settings go, I have no clue, but tight enough. Seems to be spinning without making a terrible noise, so that's a good sign. We have our drive unit turning, turns forward, turns in reverse. Nothing seems to be upset. Oops, except my camera, which is also my cell phone. Low budget productions these days, God. Alright. There is a hole in this cable that locates this. There's a little rubber seal there. So it just kind of press fits into here. Turn this around until it seats. And then there's a screw that goes through this into the housing we just put on, except I've lost it. So instead, I'm going to use another screw that I found, which is this one, which seems to fit. Looks ridiculous. We'll give it a shot. And there we go. Got some bling on my bike now. All right. That's just the brake rubbing over there. A little bit. It should seat itself as soon as I put a little pressure on it. So that's tight, this is tight. Let's see if she works. It runs. A quick update on the scooter. We're now at 4518 miles, so I've taken it to work and back. We'll check on the speedometer, drive gear. And coming down here, it doesn't look like there's any discernible leaking. I was a little worried about that gasket. Screw seems to be in good shape. Still in there, hasn't backed itself out though. I should probably put a little thread lock on it if I'm gonna keep it. All in all, I'm pretty pleased. So that was a simple fix, but I hope you learned something. And it was one that was necessary, for me at least, because it was just making this grinding noise as I was driving. From what I understand, those gears take a while to fail. So if yours is making some noise, it's probably not going to fail right away. If you rely on your scooter every day, or if you have a similar setup, my understanding is they will go until they shred. Obviously, that's probably not the best case scenario, and I'm not sure how that plastic gear is going to hold up, but I'll let you know, and hopefully it doesn't need replacing anytime soon. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time on the After Work Garage.